billions of dollars on diversity, equity, and inclusion, justice, and belonging, all while arguing over the meaning and order of those words. Many have hired chief diversity officers only to then cut this work, reinvest in it, and then cut it again. They are blaming the lack of diverse pipelines for not being able to increase the diversity of representation of their workforce and pressuring employee resource groups to do more. Confused as to why there aren't more people of color in the C-suite. Some of these same leaders who are white men struggle privately or publicly with diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI efforts, feeling that their voice simply doesn't matter anymore. And finally, leaders scrambling on what major event, devastation, crisis to address, when and why, asking this question, is this about politics or is this about human rights? As I have been chasing inclusion over many years, I have developed deep expertise in this space. I have coached hundreds upon hundreds of leaders. I have led organizations through many a DE&I crisis. I have been the confidant to many a CEO, founder, and board member. I have participated in countless keynote speeches, fireside chats, and panels. I have worked with both large and small companies. I have shared my thought leadership in social media platforms, on my own podcast and other podcasts, and in major publications and news outlets. And yet, I am not a self-proclaimed DE&I expert, because I don't believe in a world that changes so quickly that we can be experts anymore. I just have deep DE&I expertise. As I continue to build my expertise, I approach this work embracing humility, a constant drive to gain more empathy and understanding for experiences that aren't my own, and a commitment to meet leaders where they are in their inclusion journey, in hopes of moving them further along in their journey during their time working with me. My hope is that this book helps more leaders and, as a result, more organizations make meaningful progress in actually transforming their workplaces. As you listen to this book, I also know there are a number of good books that have been published and are currently being published on the topic of DE&I. Given my expertise, I wanted to tackle the one thing I haven't seen others address head-on: the myths that we hold onto in our workplaces that prevent us from making meaningful progress in DE&I efforts. We've all grown up with myths, stories that are based on tradition. Some myths we can point to being tied to factual origins. Some myths are completely fabricated, simply made up. They can explain to us why we are here, give us a sense of purpose, reassure us, guide us, and even become part of our traditions and embedded into our families and our greater community. In this book, I'll share with you the 13 myths which, over the many years doing this work, I have watched leaders cling to, believe, and share with others as if they were factual. These myths can spread quickly within an organization, taking over how we individually think, operate, and the decisions we make having consequences at scale. These 13 myths, if not debunked, will have a devastating impact on our workplaces. Reimagining what inclusion looks like in our organization starts with understanding why these myths are just that, myths. In debunking the first 3 chapters, Myth 1, 2, and 3, we tackle some of the foundational skills we need to continue to develop on our journey to be more inclusive leaders. We talk about the work we need to start doing outside of workplaces and starting at our kitchen tables, with practical ways to practice inclusion on our teams and the role we need to play in having courageous conversations on race. In Myths 4, 5, and 6, we tackle some of the ways in which we can influence and help build systems and processes in our organizations that are fair and equitable. We discuss how our own biases undermine the efforts to build and uphold inclusive infrastructures. We also discuss the importance of language in DE&I work and remembering our responsibility to educate ourselves on language that is constantly evolving. In Myths 7 and 8, we tackle the unintended consequences of believing that we are doing everything we can to support our employees, including examples like launching mentorship programs and offering maternity leave. In Myth 9, we tackle how white men feel excluded and how we must include them in DE&I efforts. In Myth 10 and Myth 11, we tackle pride washing and diversity washing in products and content and discuss in-depth racist ads in the marketplace. In Myth 12, we tackle the importance of both personal and public apologies and what we can